All right, welcome back to the deep dive. This week, we're really digging into something you guys have been sending a lot. How to pack on muscle, gain some serious weight, and boost strength.
Yeah, lots of interest in this stuff.
Exactly. Seems like everyone's looking for those gains. So we're going to break down a guide that really caught our eye. It's called "Oh 7 Things You Must Do to Add Muscle, Gain Weight, and Increase Strength" by Shawn LeBrun. We want to sift through all the info and give you guys the core advice, the stuff that really makes a difference.
Yeah, cut to the chase, the actionable stuff, no fluff.
Right, no fluff. So what's interesting is, right off the bat, LeBron talks about these fundamental laws, like the laws of physics, but for muscle growth. He says that you consistently take certain actions, the results are going to follow no matter what.
It's like you can't fight gravity, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of refreshing. It's not about finding some magic trick. It's about consistently nailing the basics.
Absolutely, consistency is key. But what I found really interesting is before he even gets into the nuts and bolts of exercise or nutrition, he starts with the power of belief.
Yeah, the mindset.
Right, the mindset. He asks, if you didn't truly believe in a method, would you even bother putting in the effort? And his point is that to really commit to this, you need a solid belief in the process.
So doubt is a big roadblock, basically.
Huge roadblock. He says a negative mindset can zap your motivation, keep you out of the gym. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It makes you think about how much our thoughts actually affect our physical progress.
Totally.
So once you've got that mental foundation in place, the first thing LeBron stresses is setting goals, like actually writing them down. He calls this the single most important thing. Why is that?
Well, he says, and this is a quote, know your end before you even begin. It's like you wouldn't set off on a road trip without knowing where you're going, right? Goals give you that direction, that sense of purpose.
They also give you momentum, right? And a timeline.
Absolutely. They turn that vague wish into a concrete target.
And he uses a great personal example here. He talks about how deciding to compete in a bodybuilding show in just 10 weeks completely changed his focus and results. Then he followed that up with a very specific goal for gaining quality weight.
Yeah, having that deadline really lights a fire under you.
So what's his method for setting these goals?
He keeps it pretty simple, actually. Write down exactly what you want to achieve, whether it's fat loss, muscle gain, whatever. Then set a deadline that's challenging but realistic. He says aim for about a 50-50 chance of success.
Not too easy, not too hard.
Right. Too easy and there's no sense of accomplishment. Too hard and you're setting yourself up for discouragement.
It's all about finding that sweet spot. And it's not just about the big goal either. He talks about mapping out the steps to get there.
Absolutely. He even provides a goal worksheet checklist. It covers everything from desire and belief to identifying hurdles and making a step-by-step plan.
Some really insightful stuff on that list. He even emphasizes visualizing your success, like creating a mental picture of yourself achieving that goal.
The mind-body connection is super powerful.
Totally. And he closes this section with a powerful quote: "Those people without goals will always work for those people with goals."
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So moving on to step 2, LeBrun gets into calorie needs. This is obviously crucial for anyone looking to gain weight.
Absolutely. He starts with a basic principle. To gain weight, you got to be in a calorie surplus. You need to eat more calories than you burn.
Makes sense.
And he introduces this concept of daily calorie maintenance, your baseline. You got to exceed that to gain weight.
So how much should you increase it by?
He suggests starting with an extra 150, 200 calories per day. Then you adjust gradually based on your progress.
You don't want to overdo it and gain too much fat.
Right. Then he provides this formula from AST Sports Science for figuring out your daily calorie needs. It uses your body weight and a BMR variable. BMR stands for basal metabolic rate, by the way.
And the BMR variable is different for men and women, right?
Yeah, and it also depends on your activity level. He even breaks down an example showing how to calculate calories and then how to split them into protein, carbs, and fats.
It's super helpful for understanding the numbers.
Definitely. And he makes a clear distinction between weight gain and weight loss. For weight loss, you need a calorie deficit, the opposite of a surplus.
But his main message here is, and he repeats it a few times, you will never gain weight unless you are taking in enough calories to support weight gain.
Simple, but so true. Sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Totally. And he talks about weight gainers too, those high-calorie supplements.
Yeah, he has a bit of a mixed opinion on those. He says they can be helpful if you're really struggling to eat enough, but they're not ideal.
Why not?
Well, he says a lot of them are loaded with sugar and low-quality protein.
So not the best for overall health.
Right. He recommends getting those extra calories from whole foods whenever possible. Things like lean meats, eggs, complex carbs.
Makes sense. Now, for those super skinny guys who aren't too worried about counting calories, he has a very simple message.
Eat, and eat some more.
Straight to the point.
No messing around.
Love it. So step 3 delves into macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats.
And protein takes center stage. He calls it the #1 required nutrient for muscle growth, the building block of muscle.
So how much protein are we talking about?
He recommends about 1 gram per pound of body weight, maybe a bit more for bigger guys.
Okay, that's a good starting point. And what about the best times to eat protein?
He highlights 3 crucial times: first thing in the morning, immediately after your workout, and potentially right before bed.
Right after your workout makes sense to help your muscles recover.
Exactly. He also mentions having some protein an hour before training.
To fuel your workout.
Exactly. And he provides a whole list of protein sources, from chicken and fish to protein powders and supplements.
So you've got options.
Tons of options.
Then he moves on to carbs, which are your body's primary energy source.
He differentiates between simple and complex carbs. Simple carbs are like sugar. They give you a quick burst of energy. Complex carbs are digested more slowly, providing sustained energy.
So when should you eat which type?
He recommends complex carbs throughout the day and simple carbs right after your workout to replenish your energy stores.
And he warns against not eating enough carbs, right?
Big time. He says if you don't eat enough carbs, your body might start breaking down muscle tissue for energy.
And that's the opposite of what we want.
Exactly. He lists good sources of carbs too, like brown rice, whole grains, fruits, and veggies.
Then he talks about fats, which have a bit of a bad reputation.
Yeah, but he emphasizes that some fats are essential for health. He recommends getting about 10 to 20% of your daily calories from healthy fats.
And what are some good sources of healthy fats?
Olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocados, things like that.
Okay, so don't be afraid of all fats.
Exactly. Now, here's a really interesting point he makes. He says nutrition is arguably even more important than weight training itself when it comes to building muscle.
Really? Why is that?
He says it's because food provides the raw materials for muscle growth.
It's like you can't build a house without bricks and mortar.
Precisely.
That's a great analogy.
He also suggests eating 5 to 7 smaller meals throughout the day rather than 3 big ones.
To keep your energy levels stable and provide a constant stream of nutrients.
Yeah, like a grazing approach.
And he can't stress enough the importance of hydration. He recommends drinking 1 to 2 gallons of water per day.
Yeah, water is crucial for pretty much every bodily function.
So moving on to step 4, LeBrun dives into the specifics of training, reps, sets, and workout length.
And he starts by emphasizing consistency again. He says any training program needs at least 8 weeks to show real results.
So don't jump between routines every other week.
Exactly. Stick with a plan and give it time to work. He says consistent exercise combined with progressive overload is the key to muscle growth.
And by overload, he means gradually increasing the weight, reps, or sets you're doing.
Right. He shares his own experience of making the best gains by sticking with basic exercises and focusing on lifting heavier over time.
So it's not about constantly changing things up. It's about getting stronger within a consistent framework.
Exactly. Then he gets into rep ranges. He recommends 4 to 6 reps for heavy sets. He's pretty specific about this. If you can't do at least 4 reps, the weight is too heavy. If you can do more than 6, it's too light.
So find that sweet spot.
Right. He gives examples for different exercises like squats, curls, presses, all in that 4 to 6 rep range.
And what about warm-up sets?
He has a specific protocol for that too. Start with a light set of 10 reps, then increase the weight for a set of 8, then increase again for a set of 6. Don't go to failure on those warm-up sets.
Save that for the heavy sets.
Exactly. He also recommends keeping a workout journal to track your lifts. He even tells a story about how forgetting his previous weights held back his progress.
You might end up lifting the same weight week after week without even realizing it.
Right. Then he talks about this idea that high reps are for toning. He debunks that myth. He says heavy lifting builds muscle, and toning is about losing fat to reveal the muscle underneath.
So diet and cardio are key for toning.
Exactly.
Then he talks about the number of sets per exercise. He recommends no more than 3 heavy sets, and even just 2 might be enough if you're training with maximum intensity.
Quality over quantity.
He explains that some bodybuilders might do more sets, but they're often using performance-enhancing drugs that allow them to recover faster.
So don't compare yourself to them.
Right. Then he provides a sample chest workout to illustrate his rep and set recommendations.
That's a great example of how to put it all together.
He also talks about choosing exercises that let you lift the most weight, like dumbbell presses over flies or barbell curls over preacher curls.
It's all about maximizing that overload.
Exactly. And he repeats his main point: lift heavy, 4 to 6 reps with max weight, and do 2 to 3 heavy sets per exercise.
Simple, effective guidelines.
And he emphasizes intensity as the #1 factor. He says you got to bring maximum effort to every rep and set.
No slacking off.
Absolutely. He finishes this section by reminding us of the KICS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Lifting heavy for low reps is the only way to make those muscles grow.
No shortcuts.
Exactly.
So moving on to step 5, we're talking about muscle groups, training days, and rest.
And LeBrun starts by debunking another myth, that doing more exercises equals better results.
He calls it the law of diminishing returns. You reach a point where doing more just leads to burnout and overtraining.
So what's the alternative?
Focus on quality over quantity. Do what's absolutely necessary and do it with maximum effort.
He recommends training only 1 or 2 muscle groups per workout.
Yeah, this allows you to really concentrate on those muscles and give them a good beating.
He provides a sample weekly routine: chest and biceps on Monday, back and triceps on Wednesday, legs and shoulders on Friday,
With cardio on Tuesday and Thursday.
and rest on the weekends. He also suggests fitting in some ab work a couple of times a week.
Now he can't stress enough the importance of rest. He rates it a 10.5 out of 10.
Wow, that's higher than anything else.
He talks about rest between sets, rest between workouts, even rest weeks.
So, how much rest are we talking about?
At least 1 minute between warm-up sets, 2 minutes between heavy sets.
And a full 24 hours between workouts.
Ideally, yeah. He even mentions taking a full week off every 8-10 weeks for complete recovery.
He wasn't a fan of that at first, but then he tried it and saw amazing results.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta take a step back to move forward.
And he points out that muscle soreness isn't necessarily a sign of a good workout.
It's overload, consistently lifting more weight, that matters.
He also cautions against changing your routine too often.
Stick with what works and focus on getting stronger within that framework.
So to sum up this step, train hard, but rest harder.
Exactly. Now on to step 6. We're tackling cardio.
A lot of people wonder if they should do cardio while trying to gain weight.
LeBrun says it's still important for overall health, but he recommends only 2 cardio sessions per week if your main goal is weight gain.
Why just 2?
Any less might not be enough for cardiovascular benefits. Any more might hinder your weight gain by burning too many calories.
Makes sense. And when should you do these cardio sessions?
On your non-weight training days, this is crucial. You don't want to deplete your energy before lifting or interfere with your recovery afterwards.
So if you train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do cardio on Tuesday and Thursday.
Exactly. He also says to approach cardio with the same intensity you bring to your weight training.
Give it your all.
And he recommends shorter, more intense sessions over longer, less intense ones.
Like sprints instead of jogging.
Exactly.
So to recap, 2 short, intense cardio sessions per week on your off days. And if you're struggling to gain weight, you might even reduce it to 1 session.
Sounds good. Now on to the final step. Supplements.
LeBrun emphasizes that supplements are just that. Supplements. They're not replacements for proper training and nutrition.
You can't out-supplement a bad diet or a lack of effort in the gym.
He also points out that you need to be consistent with supplements, taking them even on your rest days.
And he warns against falling for hyped-up products and all-in-one formulas.
Those often contain tiny amounts of a bunch of different ingredients.
Yeah, it's better to stick to a few key supplements that are proven to work.
So, what are his top recommendations?
Number 1 is protein powder. He says it's essential for muscle building. Then there's creatine, which helps increase strength and size.
He suggests using micronized creatine, which is absorbed better.
Then there are meal replacement powders, which are convenient for getting in extra calories and nutrients.
He also mentions glutamine, which supports muscle recovery and immune function.
And a good multivitamin to cover any nutritional gaps.
He has a few other recommendations, but those are the main ones.
And he ends this section by reiterating that supplements are secondary to training hard and eating right.
So don't rely on supplements to do the work for you.
They can give you an edge, but only if you've got the foundation in place.
So to wrap it all up, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Shawn LeBrun's 07 Things You Must Do?
It all boils down to a few core principles. Set clear goals, eat in a calorie surplus with plenty of protein, lift heavy weights with intensity, train each muscle group once a week with adequate rest, do short bursts of cardio on your F days, and use supplements strategically to complement your hard work.
And running through all of that is this emphasis on consistency, hard work, and a positive mindset.
It's not about finding shortcuts or magic solutions. It's about putting in the effort day after day, week after week, month after month.
So for you, the listener, I want you to ask yourself, how consistently are you applying these principles in your own training? What's one small change you could make today to move closer to your goals? It's those small, consistent actions that add up to big results over time. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.